doing the actual meat of the bop. I mean, all this stuff is going to change. That's our goal, is to have leadership rise through this process. And so a lot of that's going to come with you having people show up every week and then being able to testify the next week to the fact that not only have they shown up, but it's working, and your follow-ups are producing new agents, they're producing business.
And sharing your story. I mean, people don't want to hear Zach and Kimberly's story all the time, right?
No,
Maybe a couple of times, but then they're like, okay, they're boring.
right.
Let me have somebody
Who
else.
else? Who else?
Um,
That's the goal, and it is a big thing. And I will remind you now and then again before we sign off today. It's Tuesday, and you've got today and tomorrow and Thursday to invite folks to be there. So whether we've seen your list or not, get it out. If you want help with contacting people on that list, we can help you with that. But get it out. If you don't have one, make it, and just open the contacts on your phone and go down and don't take people off the list, but just, and then contact five. I think that was the challenge Kimberly made last week, was contact five invitations, period.
and a lot of you guys did that, and that really prompted your business for this week, and it prompted your conversations, it prompted your appointments. So kudos to all of you for doing that, and just keep doing it, keep showing up. And when you have someone new on your team and they say, what do I do? Say, invite 5 people for Thursday. Invite 5 people for Thursday. It's a very, very, very easy thing for them to do without having to say too much.
Yep.
Yeah, Gail.
I was just gonna say that real quick. So like I had a meeting this morning with she's a realtor, Worth Clark Realty, and she's a friend of my friend Holly's, who's how I have that connection. And she called me about health insurance, and I was talking to her, and I had mentioned this also, and she said absolutely we need multiple, income diversification, because that's what we teach our clients anyway. And so I let her know what all the, from a high level of what we do. And she said, absolutely. Yeah, let's talk more about that. We're going to take care of her health insurance needs first.
Yeah.
And then we're going to take care of, and we're going to talk about that.
That's
So,
awesome. Super exciting.
yeah.
And we all know realtors, right? That's going to be part of the conversation that we have today. But we all know people in affiliated industries that need to make more money. One of the things that Jody is really excited about. So most of you guys know Jordan, Jody's son, is, Nashville songwriter. He's in that world. And, he runs with some big people, because they're big people in that world, especially when you're writing songs. And he's in the top 40 now, so super excited, like his song that he wrote. But anyway, I think the waste management tournament when we went in Phoenix really opened his eyes to the possibility of the experiences that you get through our business and through our industry. But also, one of his best friends, he didn't realize this until probably 2 hours before, was like two tables, I guess, if you will, two sections down in this VIP area. And he's written like 5 or 8, I don't know, hit songs in Nashville, like 2 of George Strait's songs, like big deal, right? Because when you write a song in Nashville, that's like residual income. You continue to get paid forever as long as that song gets sung and it gets played, you get something, right? So that's a really big deal. So of course they made that connection there, like, oh my God, man. And then through that natural connection, that natural conversation, obviously in an environment where he's like, oh, this is what we do, or this is what my dad does, or whatever, scheduled an F&A. And through that F&A, it was really eye-opening for him, because someone that you think is super successful, because he is, everything that comes in goes back out to live his lifestyle. It's just the life, right? All of our lives is exactly that same way. But through that conversation, I think Jordan's eyes were open. He's like, wow, what if, like, all these guys just want to write songs? They just want to sing music. They just want to be in Nashville, but they have to afford to do it too. So what if we can add an extra $10,000 a month to your income? What if we could give you that ability without having a lot of them wait tables, a lot of them work at bars, do things like that, because they have to make money while they're, chasing their dreams. And so Jody said he's had probably 10 different conversations with people since they've come back, just about adding this as an income stream.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be the rest of your life. It doesn't have to be your dying passion. It just has to be something that you add onto your business as an extra income stream. So when you're talking to people, think about that too, especially, if they are chasing their goals and dreams, but they're not quite making it from a financial perspective. What if I could show you a way to add more without changing your focus on what you're doing right now? And they're all super excited. So just wanted you guys to know all of that activity that's happening. So today, this is where we ended last week, and it's also where we're going to start this week. It's literally section 1, and section 1 is recruiter's mentality. And you guys know, because we've been doing this for a few weeks now, that I'm literally going to read this to you. I know we went over this last week, but I want to start here again just to remind you, what are the areas of prospecting we should be looking at? So step 1 is prospecting, developing a target market. Your purpose is to max out and organize your available resources to attract the people necessary to accomplish your goals. And I hope if you guys have your paper manual, you have it and you're taking notes and all that, because I think it's important to take these notes as you go.
And I like to articulate this you don't have to articulate it to anybody that doesn't need it or want to hear this, but Jody says it really well. When we talk about recruiting, and if anybody has, an obstacle there or whatever else, he basically explains, and we'll explain it system wise here, but he explains it in saying, I could have the best product in the world. I could be the best inventor. I could solve a magical problem. But if I don't have stores or outlets to move that product, I'm never going to monetize it. It's never going to get out there to people. So in our business, we have to have products, right? Which we do. We have the best providers. We have the best solutions. We have all that best in the business, but we got to have outlets. We've got to have marketable places that can sell the products. Otherwise, we just have great products. So that's what this is about. And when we talk to people, not about becoming an insurance salesperson or becoming a financial advisor, we talk to them about building a business. And if you're going to build a business in this world, you've got to have outlets. You've got to either have branches or like
distribution.
You got to have distribution for the product.
Amazon can't push all their products out without distribution, right? Exactly the same thing here. I think one of the things Jody talks about is cell phones. You could have amazing cell phones and you could have 1 million of them, but if you don't have any way to distribute them out into the public, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how great your product is. So we've got 5 different areas of prospecting, and I really think this is everyone's biggest struggle. Everything else is easy. Prospecting is the hardest. Talking to people, it's actually the easiest, but in our head we make it the hardest, right? To be clear. And so these 5 areas are natural market, friendship farming, friendship borrowing system, prospecting for industry professionals, and the social networking through social media. Natural market is quite simply friends, neighbors, relatives, coworkers, social contacts, business contacts, anybody and everybody that you run across in your normal life. Friendship farming is turning strangers into friends. Gail did a perfect example with that. She met with a referral from a friend of hers that is a realtor and talked to her today. That was but through friendship farming, right? To create a new natural market. When this lady comes on Gail's team, now her market is Gail's market too. That is a new natural market for her. And nobody can show you how much they know until they know how much you care. So you can't just go out and hit them between the eyes. They have to know that you're a genuine person. They can't just smell blood in the water, right? Friendship borrowing system is I can't even speak. Relationship marketing through our third-party referral system. Again, prospecting for industry professionals, life insurance people, annuities, property and casualty, Medicare, securities reps, mortgage brokers, real estate agents, really attorneys, CPAs, all those people that are in professional affiliated industries that make it a perfect blend to at least partner with you, even if it's on a referral basis. And then finally, social media, social networking, which we talk about a lot. Those of you that tried the Instagram challenge, it's not easy to be a social media influencer and to solicit business or to inspire business to come through social media. But it is a very valid business. It is a very valid way to market and to network. So I want to go through this again. I'll kind of go through this quickly, but Number one is our natural market. So making a target market list should be a top priority of any new associate. Make the list the start of an exciting business adventure. When you hire somebody that day, you should say, Jade, who do you know? Who should we tell about this? And you should write it down with them. They should write their own list. You're not together. So you should write it down too. And from this list, you will build a business and potentially transform the lives of people in it. Important things to remember: never make that list on your own. Even if you do, like Mitchie had brain dumped a bunch of people, right? And she had gone through that. But then we sat down and we went through those people to discuss, who are they? You know, how do we want to talk to them? In what order do we want to talk to them? Add names, don't eliminate them. Just because, you know, you think maybe they're not good for this business, or you don't think they're going to be a product, or you think they're more successful for you or than you, or whatever, it's fine. Just add their name to the list. It doesn't mean you're calling them today. It just means you won't forget about them next time you sit down. You're like, who should I talk to today? Use this memory jogger on the right hand side. It's going to go back through a lot of like, oh, who's my grandfather? Who do I swim with? That's one that just caught my eye. Who do I swim with? Gail swims. I don't swim, so maybe Gail can
Love
answer
swimming.
that question. But use that just to jog your memory. And I don't care if you use you guys know my love of yellow legal pads. Use a yellow legal pad. Use something and just literally list their names there. You don't have to go back and fill them into all the forms and all that at that moment. Just let your brain brainstorm, right? Just run that list down there. And then once you've done that, identify your top 25 list. So look through that list of 100 on your legal pad and kind of star the ones that you're most excited about when you look at those lists. And when you do, put them on the top 25 form, which is on the next page. But Debbie called the other day and she's like, let's talk about this profile score. Debbie's been here at least as long as I have, if not longer. And she's like, I don't think I've ever seen that before. That is exactly why we're going through this process step by step by step, because I don't want anything left to chance. There is a method to the madness. So how does it work? You know, if you do it digitally, there are these little dots you can check. If you have it on a piece of paper, you can write 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. But ultimately, are you at least 30 years old? Yes, then you get a point. Are you married? Yes, then you get a point. Do you have children? Yes, then you get a point. Do you own a home? Let's say no, so you don't get that point, right? Do you have a solid business career? Like, have you been at least employed? Yes, okay, you get a point. Do you make decent income? This says 40,000, but that's from the 80s, I think. But do you make it? Can you pay your bills, right? Do you make at least a decent income? The answer is yes. Are you dissatisfied? Yeah, I'm dissatisfied. Am I ambitious? Sure, I'm ambitious. So out of those 7, I have 6 points that I hit that, like, if I'm thinking about Mitchie, right, and she hits those 6 points, then Mitchie is a 6 on my prospect list. When I put her profile score on there, she is a 6. If you're doing it digitally, this is just a tip that I gave Mitchie the other day. Instead of like checking off every single one that they check, just circle the number or check the number, because it's going to be easier to go back to see. But if that's the case, when we go out to see people, we want to see people that are friends or acquaintances, that are 5s or higher.
Yeah, so the category friend or acquaintance, friends are going to be more likely to meet. They're going to be more likely to listen just because of who you are. And the way that this flows through the manual, the order of prospecting comes with where you should be as you become more successful, or at least more practiced in your business, right? So number 1 is where everyone should start and flourish, which is people they know. And that's why we're here. And then as we go from that top 25 list over into section, still recruiter's mentality, but it's area number 2, friendship farming. This requires you to have a little bit more practice under your belt. And you would have gotten that through going through your market with your trainer, right? So you would have heard some questions and some short answers. You would have heard some things, and the ability to have a little dialogue dance without going into the scenario of disaster, which we talk about here in a little while.
So I'm actually, before we come back to page 19, I'm going to go to the scenario of disaster, because going forward, it mentions it a lot. And I want to make sure you guys understand what that is. So the scenario of disaster here, do you want to talk about that, Zach? Is that here on the top left, inside control and point of contact? just
So-
to kind of give you an idea of what we're fixing to talk about.
One of the things that you've dealt with or you've been afraid of or whatever else is, what can I say that's going to make them interested, that's not going to make me sound stupid? All those kind of questions that run, the things that keep you from picking up the telephone, the things that keep you from contacting folks that you know in your market. And this is it. This is how you manage their reaction, how you manage your own contact, is understanding how to control the point of contact, just like it says right here. Number one, show your enthusiasm. You don't want to talk to somebody right out of the gate and be like, hey, this is Zach, and I know I haven't talked to you in a while, but I really have something that I think we should talk about. No, come on, be excited.
I don't like people to
No.
whisper to me. Like,
It-
gives me a tick.
Your enthusiasm creates curiosity, right? These are the good parts of this. And the disaster happens when they ask you questions and you attempt to answer those questions when you don't have the answer for them. And then you answer wrong, then incomplete, whatever else. They jump to conclusions right there, and you never get the appointment. You never get the meeting. So remember, in contacting, like we know when we're gathering names and prospecting, that's just adding to the list. But the approach and contact, that's what we're talking about here. And the goal in that is to get the meeting. It's not to do anything except for get the meeting. It's not to tell them all about IULs. It's not to tell them all about all the great products, because they don't care. They're not involved with that right now. You just want to get them interested, right? So don't attempt to answer questions, those kind of things. Understand human nature. I think a lot of people want to go and study product, or they want to read books about the industry, or they want to listen to podcasts about how to know what's happening in the stock market next week, when even the experts have no idea what's happening next week. But you've got to become a student of human nature and understand how people respond to every new thing in their environment. So let's look down here. Remember the basics about people. So Kimberly likes to read the paragraph. So I'll go, when inviting, you have to understand people. You have to know what turns them on and what turns them off. You have to take their feelings into account, and like a fisherman or a hunter, understand the nature of who you're going after, the nature of the beast, and be careful not to spook them. I mean, we like to explain it like this. Everybody's got two antennae, right? Don't sell me anything and don't recruit me. And if you can avoid triggering either one of those little things that are going to send them off into outer space, then that's how you are successful in this process. Everybody wants to buy, they just don't want to be sold, right? And everybody wants to join something if it's going to be good for them. They just don't want everybody asking them to join, right? When I go to a car lot, I want to buy a car most of the time, but I don't want the salesperson to harass me. I want to look at what I want to look at, and then I want to tell them what I want, right? But anyway, whole nother story.
Don't take Zach to a car lot.
Remember the basics about people. They are quick to jump to conclusions. Everybody has that trigger. You tell me something, I'm going to relate it to something I understand or I know from my past. They're skeptical.
Yeah.
If it's too good to be true, it probably is. We all know that, right? So you understand that. People are going to procrastinate. They have to have an incentive to act now. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. They dream of great wealth. Everybody does. Everybody does.
Or they did.
They did, or they do. Or maybe now they don't. They gave up and they're just mad at people that are successful. There are people like that are out there too, and it's hard to help them. They're curious. Everybody that you talk to in your natural market is going to be curious about what you're doing. They're going to be curious about what got you, right? They don't think they can sell. Nobody wants to sell. No, I mean, I say nobody. There are some people like, I can sell ice to an Eskimo. I can do all this kind of stuff. I can sell. But they also don't like salespeople. Like I said, my reference to the car lot. They like to be their own boss. Jade mentioned it earlier. There's a lot of things going on in people's lives where they're like, I need freedom. I want to be free. I hate my boss. I hate my job, whatever it is. They would like to have a business of their own. Most people understand you can't save your way to wealth. You have to create something of value, build equity. We talk about that. But most people doubt they could ever have their own business, right? So all of those things, if we understand how to hit those buttons, the curiosity button and the greed button, as Hubert talks about, the two antenna, or don't sell me and don't recruit me, but the two buttons you want to hit are make them curious and hit that greed button where they're afraid they're going to miss out on something, right? So
Can I say something real quick?
yeah,
I just want to say that, overcoming people's objections about certain things is have never thought of myself as a salesperson, more of a consultant. All we do is educate people. We give them their options so that they can make educated choices, and then they decide. And we get paid to do, for that. So it's pretty great, actually. We just help them. So I don't consider myself a salesperson. I do consider myself more of a consultant. And the second thing is, I think, like you were saying, people are skeptical, and oftentimes they want to compare our industry to MLMs. We are not an MLM. An MLM requires a monthly subscription. So we don't have any supplements, we don't have any essential oils or anything that you got to buy on a monthly basis. We just don't have it. We are structured just like everybody else in the industry is, like State Farm. We use that as an example. The guy's name is on the outside of the building. He's the top dog in that agency. There's 4 or 5 other agents in his office that all conduct business. They all write life applications or home and auto, kind of things, and they all funnel up through that guy. So we're not structured any differently. We're not an MLM. Don't Those are easy objections to overcome as long
But
as you know how to have that
I
conversation.
would challenge you I would tell you, not challenge you, but I would tell you to not necessarily assume if they ask you if this is an MLM, if they're asking for the negative reason.
Yeah.
There's a response to that question that goes way back to our beginning training. If somebody says, "Is this an MLM?" I'm going to immediately stop and I'm going to say, "Why are you looking for an MLM?" Because some people will say yes.
Yeah.
Some people
Some
love.
people
I mean,
love
the idea of direct selling and marketing like that and building teams. Some people are looking for that, and a lot of times there are people who have been involved with companies that, like Jody talks about a lot, that have
Mhm.
gone up and gone down. And now
Yeah,
they're like, I got all these contacts and I got all this team. I got to find the next deal. And some of those people go from deal to deal, right?
that's
But
very
they
true.
they can say yes, and you say, great, you're going to love this, and you still teach the same way, right? If they say, no, I don't want anything to do with an MLM, you say, great, then you're going to love this, and you still go on and teach them about how our system works, because either way, they're going to love this, right? It has aspects of that. We allow you to build a team from day one. You don't have to wait until you can pay $100,000, have a building, and be the named agent, right? You can have an agency from day one, and you don't have to ask anybody for that. You don't have to wait for somebody to quit, die, or retire to get promoted. All you got to do is do what's on the checklist, and you're promoted. There's so many pieces to this and understanding it. Hey, Jody, I see you
I
there.
was gonna say, I just saw Jody
You
hop
out
on.
there.
I've been here for 20 minutes.
All right. All
We're
right.
just training you.
You want to correct anything?
Hey, nope, just listen.
All right.
I'm showing you how to do the scenario disaster, not say anything.
There you go.
There you go. Well,
No,
I
it's all good.
appreciate you being here. If you wanted to add anything
Sure.
or share anything, just
Oh
feel free
no,
to
just
type up.
glad to have these calls. I mean, they mean a lot. They're important. I love them. I think anytime you get on one, you never know when your life's going to change. You never know when you're going to hear something, or you never know when you're going to, when you're going to make a decision to do something different. So every call can change your life. But these things, I was kind of smiling to myself that human nature never changes. We like to convince ourselves, or the media people, marketing people, try to pat themselves on the back that, hey, this works or this works, and because they come up with something new. It's not anything new. I mean, human nature is never going to change. There's different tools and things, obviously, with whatever social media or whatever media. But the scenario disaster is important, but you also got to realize that the scenario of extinction, I guess, if there's such a thing, is to make no calls. And I would just caution to think that our biggest issue is our people are saying the wrong things. I think the biggest issue, people aren't saying things. And so, are you making the calls? Are you doing the activity? And you know whether you are or not. I mean, and then once we are, then I think we're doing more and more of it, because we're doing a great job starting to get our numbers up on the front end, especially on the Thursday call. But once we get to that, then we go to the scenario disaster. And it's what they were saying about, enthusiasm, and if your vision and your enthusiasm is going to overcome whoever you're talking to, and also just flat out accept this flat out accept the sorry, can you hear me okay, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. To also flat out accept the filters. Because if somebody asks you, if somebody asks you, is this an MLM? They have almost told you they're not going to do this business. I mean, I've kind of come to this conclusion. You know what I mean? Because they're just throwing out some objection and they're going to come up with something else and something else and something else. You can't answer it, and sometimes you can't answer it. And and you guys were given some good tools to say that with. And I think the only other thing I would have said to that is that the biggest difference is that you can make a living here without recruiting anybody.
Yeah.
That's probably the number one thing, along with all the other great things that were said. But it's how you carry yourself. I mean, it's enthusiasm. Go out right now. If you love to fish, but you didn't like the boring part of it, but if you knew this one day that if you went fishing that they were biting and they were all in this one area, they're almost jumping in the boat, well, then you'd be all excited about going fishing. Well, that's the world we're living in. It's as close to the fish jumping in the boat. I'm just going to be honest with you, because I think sometimes we're comfortable making excuses because we're like, it's tough and it's cold today, whatever. There are no excuses right now. Most everybody you talk to is looking to make extra money. Most everyone you're talking to knows they need to get a financial product. And so we're almost having to work to avoid recruiting people. I mean, literally, I am personally comfortable knowing that if I'm not recruiting anybody, it's because I am not choosing to have the activity. And if you're willing to be that honest with yourself, then so be it. And I think that's kind of where we need to be, because it's all about these. We have wonderful calls, and you guys have the best leaders that there are, with Zach and Kimberly, and you're the best trained group there'll ever be. It's just that it's got to move to doing the things you want from this. Remember why you're here. You're all here to do something great. All of you are. This is a great group of people. I mean, I was looking at all of you, phenomenal people. So I'm just glad to be on. Listen, and I got to hop off in a minute, but I just wanted to at least be on. I appreciate you guys.
All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for showing up and
You bet.
sharing and participating. Obviously, I think Jody's
You bet.
frozen now, but maybe he'll come back in a second. But I want to go back to the manual, because that's what we're talking about.
Son.
You're here? Okay, good. Awesome. Well, thank you, Jody, very much. I think it's always great to
You bet.
hear
Thank you.
from you and to let everybody else hear from you too. And that's what we've been talking about, right? Is again, our problem isn't our process, our presentation, our conversations, our products. Our problem is our prospecting, right? So how do we fix that? And some of it comes just by learning and practicing these examples. So section number 2.
I want to. What Jody said was incredibly important. I want you guys to understand that studying these things and reading this manual over and over and over again, and practicing in the mirror and doing all those things to become perfect is going to run you out of business, right? These are things that you practice by implementation. If you want to be the best, baseball player, you can't do it from a book. If you want to be the best quarterback on a football team, you can't just study tape. You got to go out and actually throw a ball. You got to go out and actually look the defense in the face. So understand that massive imperfect action is key number 1. And then you come back battered, bruised, wounded from being out there acting in the field, and you're like, wow, that didn't work very well. What did I do wrong? And you learn from it, and you go back out the next day and you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again, and you just don't quit. So massive imperfect action while you learn is incredibly important. We don't need to spend the next several weeks going through this manual for all you guys to go, okay, now I've been through the manual. Let me start today. We want to be active week by week, day by day. So yes, we're giving you information, but don't get into paralysis by analysis. Don't get stuck into not acting because you don't think you've memorized or you know enough about what we've said.
And that's the purpose of our action items that we're giving you every week. Last week's action item was to complete your top 25 list and go through your profile score and share it with me. Even if you know exactly what you're doing, I still want to see it because it holds you accountable, right? To say, hey, I did this. Let's talk about it, or let's don't talk about it. But hey, I did this. That's an important activity, so you don't wake up 6 months from now and be like, okay, I know the manual now. I'm well trained. What do I do?
Yep.
How do I start? Right? Like Zach said, if we start a little bit every single week and we start putting this into practice, then we'll get better because we're practicing.
Yeah, one of Kimberly's favorite YouTube videos is the little guy that says go. It was like he was the rejection, like a month of rejection or something like that, 30 days of rejection.
The 30 days of no or something like that.
But he just did random things that he knew people were going to say no to, and sometimes they didn't say no. But
like he'd go to McDonald's and he'd be like, "Can I have a burger refill?" And they're like, "No," and he's like, "Come on!" And like but anyway,
go to Starbucks and say, "Can I be the greeter today?"
They're like, "We don't have a
we
greeter.
don't have greeters at Starbucks."
And he's like, "Well, can I do it anyway?"
Yeah.
He said he picked a flower and he walked up to some random lady's door and knocked on it, and she was like, "Hello," and he's like, "Can I plant this flower in your yard?" And she was like, "Sure." But it was all these just weird random things, asking a stranger for $20 or something like that.
Some of these things might get you killed in today's climate, so watch the YouTube video. Kimberly will throw it out. She can find it in the WhatsApp later on so you guys can see what we're talking about. But that's how you get good at realizing that no isn't going to hurt you, is hearing it. How do you overcome fear? How do you overcome the fear of strangers? And I know your mom always said, don't talk to strangers. Well, I'm not talking about the white panel van and going down an alleyway in the middle of the night. I'm talking about somebody in this situation in the friendship farming where you might be in an elevator, you might be in a lobby somewhere, you might be in a shop looking at something that they're looking at and have the ability to draw that connection. So let's move into that. Let's move into friendship farming and how to turn strangers into friends. As you go into normal routine, be on the lookout for people with whom you can start a conversation. Study the following example. There's an example here below
that we're going to read.
Then use the approach to cultivate a new warm market, meeting new people, right? So simulated shopping example.
And you guys have heard us talk about this, going to the mall for a Tuesday night training, right? Especially when Circuit City and Radio Shack and they all worked on commission. Best Buy, when they worked on commission, it was magical. But this is what we did, right?
Any smart shopper will look around for the best price, talk to salespeople to obtain all the facts, compare the best products on the market. Salespeople expect the I'll be back mentality, which creates competition and the foundation for the way we do business in our country, right? So they want to stand out. They got to ask for the order. That's the one thing I would say different or additional to what Gail said is, yes, we do educate, teach, and let them make a choice from a menu. But ultimately, if the waiter never says, "Can I take your order?" they're going to starve to death, right? So we teach them and then we say, "What do you like?" "Great. I agree with that. Let's get started," right? But anyway, we're going to go through that whole process. By playing off this mentality, you can go into any retail store at any time, any place, and have a reason to talk to people.
And it's just for practice. Like, you guys should make yourself today go to a retail store that actually sells something, not like Target, right? And strike up a conversation about a computer or a television or something like that, just to practice. But I thought this is funny. I read it this morning. Every morning, millions of people potentially go to work for you. They rise early, they fight traffic, and they position themselves in 8 to 10 hour blocks waiting for you to come see them. Literally. Best of all, they're paid by their employer to be nice and courteous to you. And if you execute the system the right way, these people will listen to you and respond to what you're doing. So go practice it. Go try it. And if you mess it up, guess what? You don't know them anyway. It doesn't matter. You just go to a different store.
You know who Jeff Hardy, he loves talking. Jody actually made this suggestion to him or when you walk into Costco or Sam's, those people that are there selling for like AT&T or whatever, that everybody avoids making eye contact with, guilty as charged. Those are the people that hand them your card.
And Jay tried it. Now she's got a stalker, so. Funny story. We'll tell you later, not on live stream YouTube. I'm just kidding. She doesn't really have a stalker, but look at Jade. She unmuted. You want to tell him you have a stalker?
Yeah, the guy knocked on my door a few times. I mean, it is my fault. I gave him my address.
I was like, why does he have your address?
Yeah. Certain
Harder.
snort.
Guy-
Certain information you want to keep close to the vest.
You're just checking her.
He
Internet
legit did work for
eligibility.
Charter, right? Like he's an actual like Charter like sales guy, but now he won't leave me alone by internet, and no.
But anyway, like it's a great practice. Just don't give them your home address. But no matter where you meet someone, keep in mind the basic recruiting principles and never spook the person. Avoid the scenario of disaster, which is why I started there, because I wanted you guys to know what that meant. And your goal is to get the person to attend the BOP, or worst case, understand what your business is. So ultimately, let's talk about the form method when we go through this friendship farming. There are 4 questions that you can always ask when you're talking to a stranger. This is called the form method. This method allows you more naturally, if you prime flows more naturally if you prime the pump first by sharing some personal information about yourself. So standing in line at Starbucks, especially if it's a long line or something like that, you might just be like, hey, are you from around here? That's one of the questions, right? F stands for family. Are you from around here? Do you have kids? Did you grow up in town? Like, just strike up a conversation about who they are. What do you do for a living? How long have you done that? Do you like your job? Remember, the person who asks the most questions always controls the conversation. And the more questions you ask, the more the person's like, oh, wow, she's really interested in what I have to say. So engage in conversation with them, but ask questions to keep the conversation going. What do you do for fun? What do you like to do around here? Or my kids play soccer. Great, mine do too. We can have a 4-hour conversation, probably give a dissertation on youth soccer in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. We can just do that, right? I can, for 20 years of it. And then finally your message, and I'll let, I know you want to talk, I hear you. But M stands for message. So tell the prospect what you do, just to spark his interest, to get their name, ask for a business card or their Instagram handle, or text me your phone number. If you give them your business card, because a lot of people like to do that, makes them feel successful and professional to have a business card and say, you should call me sometime. Have you ever, think about yourself truthfully, have you ever called someone from a business card someone handed you? No. They're not calling you either. So I haven't ever used business cards. If you have them, great, but do what Stuart does and hand them the card and say, hey, will you write your name and number on here? And get their name and number on your business card, right? Business card is just basically like blanketing the internet with your logo. It's nothing. But just say, I'd love to connect with you and hear more about who you are and share a little bit more about what I do. Before I let you talk, if the form method, if during the form method, they ask you what you do, and I think this is a great thing to say, a good response is, I'm putting together a marketing team for an exciting new company that's expanding in this area. Don't go into any further details. Remember to avoid the scenario of disaster. But how awesome is that? Gail, like I meet Gail at Starbucks and she's telling me about what she does, and her natural question is, what do you do? Well, actually, I'm putting together a marketing team for an exciting new company that's expanding in this area. I got to run right now because I've got a meeting coming up, but I'd love to connect with you and get your information and share more about it. You might know exactly who I'm looking for, right? Simple, easy, dropping it out there. Mitchie,
Wow,
Rusty,
Mitchie
you look like
changed.
Mitchie. I was like, whoa, something has happened here to the screen. I'm just kidding.
Hey, I was gonna say something.
Yeah.
When we were I think we were in Atlanta somewhere and everything, and we went out to dinner, and Jody just strikes up a conversation with some random guy, and Elaine asked him, well, what did you say? Like, how'd you start that conversation? He said, I just told him that he looked familiar. He said, do I know you from somewhere?
And Jody's probably good at the pickup lines, right?
Uh-huh.
It's been on my mind all day. Do your feet hurt? Because you've been running in my mind all day.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So anyway, I will tell you that this is an outline for your conversation, right? And it's an easy acronym for you to remember. But if you just walk up to somebody in Starbucks and say, "Hey, tell me about your kids."
They're like, okay, they're gonna
It's-
think you're a stalker, like Jade
it's going to
has.
be a weird scenario, right? So things that you can do to be natural, and you can practice this without actually even going through the form. I would tell you to practice making comments to people, interacting in one line things. Just take a minute. Like if they order something in front of you I just keep going back to the Starbucks idea, or any coffee shop or whatever, and it's the mocha, laca, matcha, chata, whatever it is that they've ordered that had 6 different things in it. You like, did you come up with that all by yourself? Sounds like a complicated drink. Do you like that? You can just start something with somewhat of a tongue-in-cheek comment. I've told you guys about the ones where if I see somebody wearing a hat from a college that's not Georgia, I will tell them I think it's the ugliest hat I've ever seen. And the first thing, they think that I'm insulting them. And then the second thing, they realize I'm just not a fan of Ohio State, or I'm not a fan of Florida, or whatever it is.
Don't do that to an Ohio State fan. They might punch you.
They're a little bit off. They're a little unstable. Yeah. Sorry if any of you guys are on the call or watching on YouTube. It's the truth. But find a way to be you and interact with them. People want to be talked to. One of our people years ago, he was one of the best conversation starters that I've ever been around in my life. And he said, everybody wants to be talked to. That was his mantra. And I believe that. A lot of people that are passing by you are ignored. They're lonely. They have
or scrolling on their phone because it's easier than the awkward eye contact and silence.
But I mean, you can ask somebody for directions. Like you might even need directions, but you can ask are you from around here? I'm looking for a good place to get lunch, and start a conversation. They'll be like, no, I'm not. Oh, great. Where are you from? You still didn't get where you needed to eat lunch, but you got the end to the conversation, and you got yourself more comfortable with stepping out. And I think that's what you need to do, is practice this. And as you get better, guess what? As you go, you'll get better. But remember the family, occupation, recreation message. It keeps you from having a random conversation that is just going to end and say, nice, see you later. So once you find out if they're from around there, you talk about if they order in 6 coffees, then wow, you got a bunch of people. Yeah, my kids, whatever. Then
that's expensive, or whatever,
So just, obviously think about being a natural interaction. But the first thing you got to do is step out and actually interact. And then next thing, you might be able to get to the next person that you talk to. You'll get past the awkward interaction, and you'll have a brief conversation, and you'll ask them what they do.
So someone other than Zach, what is the goal for this? What is your only goal?
Just to strike up conversations and generate excitement and interest. And I love on the form of the last part, the message of using that famous Jeannie Penland, who do you know?
Yeah.
Who do you know that's interested, that's looking for a new opportunity where the compensation's really great? And
but here, what is our goal with this form? What do we hope to leave this conversation with?
Their contact info.
Their contact information, right? At this moment, we only want to prospect. We haven't approached them yet. We haven't contacted them yet. We are just literally prospecting and adding to our list. We're gaining Instagram followers, whatever. We're just prospecting. And potentially, who do you know is a great fit for there? But it might be too soon, because you might have said too much, right? It might have just been, I'm putting together a marketing team for an exciting company that's expanding in this area. I'd love to talk to you more about it. And then the next conversation is, who do you know, right? But the goal for all of these initial, because remember, we're in prospecting on the manual, it's just to connect, get their contact information so you can stay in contact. Because if you don't, probably not going to contact them again, right?
Still got practice, but you didn't get anything else.
So let's look at friendship borrowing. You guys know we probably aren't going to get through. We might get through this manual this year, maybe. I don't know. But it's okay. I want to continue this. I want to take it in pieces where we can really do something, right? Where we can really go forward. Friendship borrowing, HGI's referral and lead system. Most people in marketing aren't experiencing the level of success they desire. Who aren't experiencing the level of success they desire usually don't lack for a good presentation or a timely concept. Again, that is not our problem, right? What they are missing is qualified people to get in front of on a regular, consistent basis. That's it. right?
How do you get your leads?
Yeah. Question every single time.
Yeah.
And if they say that, you're going to say, we have a system, but ultimately we have 5 different ways to get your leads. Hold on, let me get back there. You've got your natural market. You've got, people that you know through your natural market. You've got the friendship borrowing. You've got affiliated professionals, and you've got social media. All of those ways, we're going to teach you how to get leads through all of that, and you can buy leads, right? So that's your answer on how to get your leads. But ultimately, most companies today, and this is still true, rely on running ads, lead list, mass mailings, email solicitations, and telemarketing to get new clients. Most people either ignore or become annoyed, truthfully, right, with these unsolicited attempts to sell them a product or service. The cost for these types of methods continue to skyrocket while the success ratio remains very, 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 very low. Drop a mailer out there and see what your success rate is. It's like 1 to 3% conversion. And it happens. Ultimately, you convert, but golly, right? We believe at HGI there's a better way. Relationship marketing, which is what we do, has proven to be the most effective way to get a product to market. Warm market referrals are not only very successful, but they're also extremely cost effective. You must have a system of getting and using referrals. It must not be a personality driven or vary from situation to situation. It must give the associate the confidence to follow through each time, which will generate successful results, and it will be easy to duplicate, aka our system. Right? That's why we do it exactly the same way every single time. Referrals can be asked for during any one of the steps in the system, including the approach and contact, the business opportunity presentation, the getting started interview, the product presentation, and during the ongoing client contact. I think this is a perfect example. On the left-hand side of our screen is you've got your prospect list, right? Right here in the middle, you've got your prospect list. And that prospect list is going to feed who you approach and contact. And that prospect list is going to feed your business opportunity presentation. And that prospect list is going to feed your product presentation. And that prospect list is going to feed your ongoing client contact. That is a perfect example of our business, right? We contact them, they come to the business opportunity presentation, we help them with their personal plan, and whether they come to work with us or not, they're an ongoing client contact. I talked to Bonnie last night, and she was like, asking the difference between us and financial planners, and there are a lot of similarities and there are a lot of differences, but I couldn't answer right then because I was talking to kids, and she was like, oh, I know the difference. She was like, we don't stay with the money, meaning we don't manage it, right? And that was her answer to her friends, and I don't agree with that. And I said that back to her. I was like, well, if we're talking about managed money, Zach actually does do that. So for your team and for your clients, you do have that, right? You do have someone that's going to stay, if you will, with the money and manage it actively. But I've got clients that I've had for 23, 24 years. So we definitely stay with our clients, which is that ongoing client contact conversation over here on the left. So I just want to kind of let you think about that. And then do you have anything to say about that before?
I mean, this graphic does a really good job of teaching you, similar to the flowchart graphic. Nobody makes money except for in the product presentation box, but ultimately it starts with you. The center hub of your day on a daily basis should be your prospect list. Like if you're going to start and end somewhere, you should start with your prospect list.
This is my yesterday, like brain.
And you should finish with that list. You should start with who I'm going to call. You should make some calls. You should reach out, social media, direct messaging, however you're reaching out to your list. And then at the end of the day, you should kind of look, well, did anybody respond? What did I get out of the day? So I can measure my activity. I can focus on activity, right? And I can measure my results at the end of the day. So that's a great graphic to show you what's the most important. And if you're not starting and ending your day with who you're talking to, you're not going to make any money.
So I will challenge you, because we're right at 11. I'm going to challenge you. If you did not complete your prospect list from last week, or you didn't text it to me, I want you to do that. Again, I don't need to micromanage your business. I just want that accountability step. I want the practice of printing this off and having it written down and having that profile score completed. And then this week, your action item is to go practice the form. You're all going to be in different situations all week long. So study this page. We've talked about it for an hour. Study this page, study how to talk to people, and go strike up conversations with people and get better at that. Ideally, you're going to leave with their contact information, their Instagram handle, something like that, so then you can reconnect with them later. But at minimum, get good at talking to people. Go to the grocery store, find somebody shopping for soup and say, oh my gosh, do you like that? It doesn't matter. Just get better at talking to people, because that's a big part of what we do.
And as always, a consistent action item is invite a minimum of 5 people to Thursday night's call. You will not regret it unless you don't do it. That's the facts.
But the energy and the excitement and the enthusiasm and the responses on the survey are all positive. So get there, you be there, show up smiling, nod your head. I will post the step-by-step again on Thursday. But in between now and then, just use those flyers, right? You've got the flyers in WhatsApp that you can grab and send out. And if you don't do it today, I think tomorrow and Thursday are great building blocks for that, right? Most people don't plan their evenings weeks in advance. They plan them that day or that moment, right? So use that urgency and that short time frame to your advantage as well.
And finish up with, why do we ask for your list? 2 things I want you to understand. Your list is no good to you without us or someone teaching you how to use it. And your list is no good to us without you. So we don't want your list because we want your contacts. We want your list because it means you've actually done something in your business. You've actually put one foot in front of the other. And now we know that you're not in that filter anymore, so we can work with you on the next filter. That's how leaders in this business are going to know who to work with, is based on the people that actually are working. And I don't mean that in any way other than factual. Focus on activity and manage results. Or manage activity, focus on results. I get those 2 backwards all the time, but they're very similar. So anyway.
We found our old like ELG list the other day. We found like 10 of them where Zach was cleaning out a bunch of stuff. And I was like, oh my God, that's
funny.
nice.
Yeah. Some good names on those.
Same top 25 list. All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you guys tomorrow at noon on the Products and Concepts call. Nico, I know you joined to meet with me. We're going to end this meeting and come back because we're live streaming. And I will see you in a moment. Bye, guys.